Hey everyone, it's Kate, and it is mid-May 2020. I don't even know what day it is because we're in the middle of the quarantine. It's Thursday night, and I'm glad to be here. I have a special treat tonight. I've been looking for a really young uh, bookkeeping side hustler, and I found one. So I'm happy to have Mikey Cox here and his dad, Michael. And we're just going to dive right in and learn about how he got started. This whole group is about getting people to take action, and for many of us, like for myself, change the course of our career and course of our life by learning bookkeeping and building a business around it. So I'm gonna let us get to know these guys really quickly. Mikey's the star, but his dad will chime in too whenever we need him. But Mikey, why don't you tell us about yourself? Tell us your age, and start with your age. How old are you?
So I'm Mikey. I'm 14. I'm an eighth grader. I'm the oldest of four kids in my family. And yeah.
Cool. So what's your favorite hobby? What do you do for fun?
I really like math. Kind of a weird thing, but I really like math.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite book?
I have a lot of favorite books. I have said before that my favorite book is whatever one I'm reading at the time.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So you're a math guy and a reader, man. Renaissance man. Do you have a favorite thing that you own? This will be your last little quiz question. Favorite thing you own?
Favorite thing I own. Can I say my family?
Sure. Sure. I love it. I love it.
I don't know if I own them, but
But they're yours. I love it. So I would like to hear you describe your role inside your dad's business.
so my dad, he like writes the checks and so I will do like an audit to make sure that he's paying like the right amount to each vendor, not paying vendors a ton of extra money or not enough money.
Okay.
I'll check to make sure he's like doing the right things and paying stuff out of the right things to the right people.
All right. So do you use a software to do that, or are you still doing that part manually?
I'm doing that manually. I'll get the check stub and the invoice and compare them, make sure it's from the same company, coded to the right property or whatever, and then for the right amount.
Okay. Okay. Um, so what's it like working for a parent? Tell us the good and maybe tell us the not so good, because it can't be perfect.
Good. It's like flexible hours. I think that's the right way to put that. I can come in whenever I want. I don't have to come in 8 to 6 every day for I just come in like when I'm done with my homework.
Okay.
Um Another good thing is um maybe I should have thought of another good thing before I said that.
Maybe that's the only good thing.
Flexible. Hey, this whole that's why I started my business. I was a stay-at-home mom, and my kids were growing, and I had to have a job that was flexible. So I think that's a great point that you make. And most teenagers are really busy these days. I mean, that's just the fact of life with teens. So I think more people like me, my oldest is 8, but
uh,
6, 7, 8 years from now, I want to be in the position that you and your dad are in. But I also want him to be a regular kid and have school activities. And so the reason why this is a great job for young people is it's flexible. So is there anything that's a struggle working for family?
I mean, not really. It's all pretty good. I can't think of anything right now that's like too bad.
Okay, fair enough. You must have a good boss.
I can move away and cover my ears if that would help.
I was gonna say, Mikey, I won't ask your dad what's the bad about having a child as an employee. We'll save that for later. No, what? So Michael, let me have you chime in here. Why don't you just give us the high-level overview about your company, companies? I understand you have a couple of companies, and then we might bring it back to Mikey. But so, what's your structure? What's your niche? How have you grown this business?
Absolutely. So we do bookkeeping primarily for real estate type companies, real estate development, property management, construction companies. And so we have multiple different of these different entities that we do this for. And one of the reasons I got into it was, kind of like Mikey said, for kind of that flexibility. I do other type of work also besides just bookkeeping. I don't do this full time.
Okay.
We moved up here. We live in Southern Utah. We moved up here a couple of years ago. My parents are getting elderly. My dad has Parkinson's and dementia. And so I was fortunate they had an extra office space at their house. So I actually work from their home most days, just have an extra set of eyes with them to help them. And so I've been doing this for a while. For a long time, actually, I've been working with some of these customers. About a year ago, I decided to dive more into it, organized a LLC in my state, and then filed to elect to be taxed as an S Corp. So I do a payroll every week to myself out of those funds that we have come in, which has been helpful for things like getting loans and whatnot to actually show that paper coming in.
Sure.
And then, just the whole concept of the same person paying the bills shouldn't be doing everything. I think that's actually how this came up, is what kind of internal controls do you have? And so an internal control that I came up with was, I want somebody other than the person writing a check to review it, making sure it's going, as Mikey was talking about, to the correct vendor, being paid for, because we pay the bills for the customers, being paid for by the right customer, being coded to the right property or GL expense account, or as the case may be. And so I sometimes say that I have a photographic memory, but I'm out of film. Whereas I think Mikey almost has a photographic memory. We'll be talking about, a property under construction from one of the customers, and I'll mention it's, such and such property, like, oh yeah, and then he'll tell me the address. And he could totally be making it up, but I believe him because he's right every time I've ever checked. And so he seemed like a good natural fit to be the one to make sure that, company A is paying subcontractor 6 the right amount. I think Mikey's favorite thing about working for me that he didn't actually mention.
I forgot to say it.
Do you want to tell her?
Tell
My
me.
favorite thing is when I find when he makes a mistake.
Okay.
The best part of the job is when he does something wrong.
He likes that. And he comes in, he shows it to me, and sometimes we may pay a utility bill and for a house under construction, and I underpaid it by $1 or overpaid it by $1, and one of those things like, we'll let the city reconcile with us next month on that because they're going to bill us next month anyways. But if it's a more substantial problem, I'll reach out to the customer or the vendor, as the case may be, and correct it. But that's why it's so nice to have another set of eyes on it. Even if I was looking at it, I probably wouldn't find it because I was the one who originally wrote it.
Yeah.
But here we have Mikey reviewing it, looking for those problems, knowing that he's going to get that satisfaction when I make a mistake. That makes him really look closely at it.
You could have that as part of your payment incentives, like he gets like an extra $20 every time he finds an error or something.
That might be too high. I make too many mistakes for $20, but it's worked out really well. And then as part of it, so he does that, that basic level audit, and then he goes and he files it. We have, depending on the type of company it is, we have a file for a vendor or for a property, or we have different ways that we file them for the customers, and he does that filing for us.
Okay.
And so then
What
when we need that backup, I know right where it's at because Mikey put it where it's supposed to go.
what software are you using in your business for the most part? You talk a lot about real estate. Is it real estate bookkeeping specific, or are you like a QuickBooks Online guy?
So
Zero?
there's three different software programs we primarily use, besides, of course, things like Excel. That doesn't quite count, although I do a lot
Sure.
of spreadsheets. We use Sage 50, which used to be Peachtree Accounting.
Mm-hmm.
We use that a lot. We use QuickBooks Desktop. And then we use AppFolio, which is a property management software.
Okay. Okay.
And so we use all three of those.
Let me go back to Mikey. I'm curious about like how many hours a week you work. How long does it take you to complete your tasks? Do you feel like you work the same amount each week, or is it flexible? Do you get to choose how much you work? Tell me about your hours, Mikey.
It's super flexible. Some weeks I don't come in at all. Some weeks I spend like 20 hours. Usually I'd say about 5 hours a week at most.
Okay.
That's about the normal.
I think that's sounds like a great amount for someone your age. Would you typically try to work more during the summer? Do y'all save some projects for some time from times when you have more time to give?
Yeah, during the summer I tend to come in more just because during the summer I'm like kind of over here more just at my grandma's house because that's where our office is.
Okay. So let's talk about money. How much do you earn?
$7.50 an hour.
Okay. Okay. What do you do with your money when you earn it?
So I take 45% and I put it in a Roth IRA and invest in different stocks and
Index funds.
Index funds, that's the word. And then I take the other 55% and put it in a checking account. For that checking account, I have a debit card that I can use to make purchases. And so that 55%, I take 10% and I give it to charity. And then that leaves 45% for checking that I can use for whenever I decide there's something I want to buy.
What's one of the favorite things you've ever purchased with your own money? Or what are you saving up for now?
I actually am not saving up for anything right now. But I have been saving up for a while. I think the last thing I bought, like besides like food or anything, was probably like a Lego set or something.
Okay. Well, you're getting close to that driving age, so you could almost maybe create a separate savings account, maybe like for the big whatever they drive in southern Utah, like trucks or something, maybe. I don't know. Well, that's awesome. You are being set up so well. I mean, whether you go into a bookkeeping, accounting kind of a field or not, I mean, just the skills that you're learning of the saving and the investing. Oh my goodness, y'all are doing a lot of things well over there. So tell me, what are your longer term career goals, Mikey?
So I'm actually not planning to be an accountant or a bookkeeper or whatever the proper word for that is. I'm actually planning on being an engineer.
Okay.
Going along with that math and stuff.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. One of the things I talk about and like encourage people is, so if you to be an engineer, you have to go to college, and lots of times people have college jobs that aren't very professional. It's maybe they're waiters, or maybe they babysit or something like that. But this would be something that you could do, as a 20-year-old. Obviously between now and then you could even learn a lot more from your dad, start having more and more responsibilities. Then you get to be 20 and you're like, Dad, you better increase my rate or I'm out of here, because so and so in my college town wants to hire me. And you'll be able to, again, in college you want to be flexible, right? So that way you can go to that event or go to the football game or study. I just think it's a great thing. Even if you want to be an engineer, don't completely throw it away,
right?
Until you get that, until you get that first engineering job. So cool. Michael, tell us what your favorite part is about your son. Well, I guess you already have, but your son working for you. You liked the controls, and anything else you want to say just about why this has been a blessing for you and your business?
It's been really nice to have that special one-on-one time with him also. He's the oldest of 4 kids. And so, since he's the oldest, that means he's the one we make all the mistakes on, and the one that we're the hardest on sometimes.
Yeah.
And the one that we make help his younger siblings the most. And so my youngest child, so it's boy, girl. The youngest girl, she's in 1st grade. And, when the whole world went on quarantine and school went remote, Mikey's been the one that's helped her figure out how to get into her classes and, print her homework and scan it and turn it in. And so I think sometimes it's been a little unfair to Mikey of, he's the oldest. He has to help raise these younger siblings sometimes. So it's been nice that he can come with me and be away from the siblings. He doesn't have a little sisters or a little brother competing for my attention. He has my attention whenever he needs it, and we can talk. And I can ask him about life and his friends and struggles, and just him and I working together in here, and such a great opportunity for us to talk.
It's awesome. So talk to us a little bit more about the structure and the payroll and like how this works. Did you have to investigate, like, is this legal? Like, is he too young? Do your clients know that he works for you? Just to kind of talk about the admin side, Michael, of how this works.
Absolutely. Great questions. So I am a nerd in a lot of ways. I guess that's what, him liking reading and math. Maybe he must get some of that from me, maybe. But I spend a lot of time reading, trying to find strategies, ways to improve business, come up with better ideas. And so I had mentioned earlier that I'm taxed as an S corp, and so we do invoices and we send those to the customers who pay. And in the past, I would pay him just out of the money that I brought in. What I started doing, which I've told my customers, so it's not a surprise to any of them, I set up a new entity which is taxed as a partnership. So it's also an LLC, but instead of an 1120S form, for those who know tax forms, we file a 1065 partnership return. And so Mikey is an employee of that 1065 partnership return, and we do payroll from that to him. And so the customer, they'll get an invoice for the bookkeeping service I provide, and then a separate invoice for the file and auditing that Mikey does. Mikey keeps a spreadsheet of his time, and which he gives to me on a monthly basis, and then that's how we then bill out to the customers. He comes here and puts on his cell phone, and he prints it on the printer here, and then I use that, generate an invoice, send that to the customer. So the customer is seeing 2 different invoices, but it adds up to the same amount that we were otherwise billing them. And there were tax strategies why we did that. So by having Mikey being on payroll, not just, being paid as an independent contractor or just, and me 1099ing him, for example, because that's definitely a way I could do it. Have him on payroll is earned income, which is what qualifies him to get that Roth IRA.
Right. Yeah.
And then that Roth IRA, if you're familiar with, I'm sure you're familiar with them.
Oh, yeah.
But everybody thinks of Roth IRA as retirement, which is true, it is. But there's other qualified events where you can pull the money out tax-free, including education.
And first home, I think.
And down payment for a first home. And, if we're in the ability to do that at those stages, of course, we want to try to do that for Mikey. But the negative of that is those are post-tax events for us. We pay our taxes and then we use that to help Mikey. Whereas now we put him on payroll, it's becomes a pre-tax expense because it's now reducing our taxable income because we're paying him for the work he's doing, and then we're letting him invest that to use that to pay for college potentially, or pay for that down payment, or ultimately retire, and getting him 60 years of growth potentially on this money.
I was going to say, have you put your compound interest calculator in about what happens when you start at 14? You
we've
might.
looked at, what?
You answer. Have you checked that out?
We've looked at it a few times. I can't remember what it is, but we've looked at it a few times. It's pretty cool.
Like
Goes
millions,
way up.
millions.
Yeah.
If you start this early. Wow.
So
That's
another
awesome.
benefit so I could have paid Mikey out of the S corp. Under federal tax code laws, which, not to get too hairy or into the weeds, but it's interesting. If Mikey is an employee of me of a corporation, under federal law, we have to do withholdings of federal income tax and Medicare and Social Security. But if Mikey, as a minor, works for his parents as in a partnership, then we don't have to.
So who's the partner in the partnership? Who
It's
are the
my
partners?
wife and I. My wife and I.
Okay, not Mikey. So that's an interesting little loophole so because did y'all both have to become a partnership to be able to hire this? Like it has to be a husband and wife sort of a thing?
It has to. I could have done it myself, or
Okay.
my wife and I can do it, or my wife could have just done it.
Okay.
But since his parents are the owners of the partnership with no outside partner, then there's no Medicare, Social Security, or federal withholding requirements for him as long as he's a minor.
Wow. That's a cool detail. Definitely folks dig into that if this is inspiring you at all. Mikey, I want to, so it sounds like you're doing a lot of the manual stuff, and I'm going to actually send you, I'm going to email y'all a copy of my bookkeeping side hustle guidebook, because I think there's even like more to be done here. I'm not familiar with Sage. I mean, I know of the product, I haven't done it. And so it might not be, most of the book talks about QuickBooks Online or Xero, which I'm not saying you have to go add to your practice, Michael, but
Sure.
if there's kind of the equivalent, I mean, just substitute the word Sage or the other two, QuickBooks Desktop, there are sort of, you can become a pro advisor in that. And you can start, there's ways for you to learn those softwares too, Mikey. I mean, you'll be, you can graduate high school with by already knowing a lot of accounting, more than just like the audit side, but the actual, like all the financial statements. And, I recommend when people get started in this, whether you're 14 or whether you're 44, you need to know accounting and you need to know software. Those are like the first two steps. And so, you can take a look at that guidebook and see if between now and when you are out of the house, what other tasks you can do for your dad based on the training that you get. And a lot of it out there is free. And especially in this homeschool environment, y'all listening to this, I saw someone online had her 18-year-old, she's a bookkeeper, I can't remember her name, but her 18-year-old became a Xero advisor in this homeschool time, because we're kind of all stuck at home. What else are we going to do? Netflix can only be entertaining so much, right? But there's real awesome things that are out there if people just take the time. That's what this group is for, this bookkeeping side hustle group, to let people know these are steps you can take. And I'm a bootstrapper to my core, and so almost everything I tell people, there's a free way to do it. And so we'll check back in with you in a year or two, Mikey, and see how much, see if you've let your dad retire and if you're running the show.
That'd be great.
You look like you might be. You know what? I've been selfish here. I have neglected to ask. Oh, here we go. I'm looking over here and I'm seeing there are some comments. Y'all, I haven't done one of these Facebook Lives in so long. Sorry, people. It's homeschool land. That's the problem. I haven't asked if anyone has any questions. So chime in now. I got, let's see. Some people are commenting about the partnership situation, but it's not a question. Anyone want to ask any questions? It says there's 7 comments, but I'm clicking on it and it only shows 4. Huh. Ask questions now if you want. Guys, I've had a great time. Mikey, you seem awesome. You're a great big brother. You're a great son. You're gonna be, having enough money to take the whole family on vacations in like 30 years as a young man, like you're doing very, very well. I'm proud of you. Keep your head on straight. And yeah, reach out to me at any time if you want some tips. If you're like, my dad's telling me to do this, that doesn't sound right. I'll be like, I'll tell him what's up.
Definitely.
Thank you.
And Michael, thank you for chiming in the other day saying, yeah, I got a kid who works in bookkeeping.
Definitely. And it's been really nice while writing for any questions. Something that's been nice is, just to try to standardize practice, write SOP, standard operating procedures. And then, what's been nice on these is I let Mikey look at them, and he has a pen and he writes on them if there's things he disagrees with, or, over time as things evolve.
Oh my gosh,
you're going to be
it's cool if you want to, what you're learning, Mikey. So bookkeeping is fine and great, and lots of people love it. And but even more so, I think a lot of people who have teens, like in y'all's situation, you're just learning about business. And so who cares if you become a bookkeeper or not? One, you might start your own business because you're like seeing an entrepreneur like up close, and you'll at least be able to do your own books, which most entrepreneurs, like a lot of them start off that way anyway. It's like before I can hire someone, I got to do the books. So you'll at least be able to invent your awesome engineering invention and do your own books. And you'll be able to like make sure your bookkeeper's doing the right thing once you're able to hire one, if you don't want to do accounting. Or you could just hire your dad's company. Oh my gosh, Absolutely. So many ideas.
I'll only charge him double normal rate too.
There you go. So I'm not seeing any questions. Guys, thank y'all for listening. I hope this has been beneficial. I love stories like this. If anyone out there listening has any ideas for another interview like this that's a little bit off the wall, especially, this is what this group's about, is just I wanted to plant seeds that people can use to grow. Actually, here we got a question. How long did it take you to teach Mikey to do what he needed to do?
Let's see. So you first started doing this 3-4 years ago, or am I remembering wrong?
Probably about 2017, like around August.
So
wow.
And so that's the very first SOP I ever wrote for the bookkeeping business was how to do that basic audit and filing, because I figured if I'm going to have him help me for all the reasons we outlined, I want to make sure that I'm not going to just have to redo the work myself anyways. I want to make sure that what my expectations for him and his expectations were the same. So we wrote that SOP, and it's the one we've updated by far the most.
I think that one's on version 2 point something.
Maybe. Let's see. We print them out and we keep them, so it's easy. It's revision 1.2.1. I actually just took all of our changes a few days ago and re-updated it on the 5th, so just a few days ago.
Y'all are organized. Does Sage have the equivalent of like of an advisor certification, Michael?
Probably, but I haven't done anything with it.
Y'all gotta get that on the agenda on the homeschool. Like by the time school starts again, like you should become an advisor, like the world's youngest Sage credentialed person or something.
That'd be pretty cool.
That would be so cool. Yeah. Because you could do so much more. Mikey, and if you ever want to really study accounting, Mikey, because audit is definitely different than accounting, like checking for the errors and stuff. That's not knowing how net income flows to the balance sheet and how the cash flow statement works and stuff like that. But I bet you would eat all that up because it's just like a puzzle, it's just like learning a mathematical language. So I'm excited for y'all. I don't see any other questions. I'm going to let y'all go. This has been awesome. I'm so glad we had the time to do this. Mikey, I'll stay in touch, okay?
Okay.
Thanks for your time, Kate.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Adios, everyone. Have a great evening.
Bye.
Bye.